Imagine being part of a 10-person expedition into the frozen Ural Mountains and being the only one who turns back. Now, imagine waking up days later to hear that every one of your friends, the 9 hikers you hugged goodbye, has been found dead in one of the most disturbing, unexplained scenes in modern history. That lone survivor was 21-year-old Ural Mountains, and for the rest of his life, he carried the same question we're exploring today. What made the Dyatlov hikers cut their way out of their tent and run half-naked into the dark, freezing night, never to return? Welcome to the Exhibit Files. This is Exhibit 001, The Unexplained Exit.
If you love unraveling eerie mysteries and exploring real events that defy explanation, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We drop new exhibits every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's open this file.
The Dyatlov Pass story doesn't begin with 9 hikers. It begins with 10. In January 1959, a group of experienced Ural Polytechnic students set out on a winter expedition that would take them deep into the Ural Mountains. They were smart, they were trained, and together they had conquered dozens of challenging routes. But not long into the trek, something changed. One member, Ural Mountains, began experiencing crippling sciatic nerve pain, something he had struggled with for years. The cold, the weight of his gear, the terrain, it all caught up with him. He had to make the heartbreaking decision to leave the group. He turned back and walked away from what would soon become one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in Russia's modern history. He later said it was the hardest goodbye of his life. The remaining 9 hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, continued on toward the Orterton region. Their final campsite was on the snowy slopes of Kholat-Syakh, a mountain known to the local Mansi people as the Dead Mountain. For days, the group was silent. No messages, no progress reports. Their families grew concerned. The school grew concerned. And then, the search teams found the tent. The first thing rescuers saw was disturbing enough. The tent was still standing, partially buried in snow, but sliced open from the inside. Not unzipped, not torn by wind, cut open deliberately. Inside were boots, jackets, gloves, food, all the gear you would absolutely need to survive the night. It was as if the hikers fled in a state of pure panic. Bare footprints in multiple sets led downhill toward the tree line. Some prints showed socks, some were barefoot. Some belonged to people wearing only a single boot, in temperatures dropping to negative 30 degrees Celsius. Whatever made them leave that tent, they were more terrified of what was inside than what waited outside. But the nightmare was only beginning. The first 2 bodies were found near a cedar tree at the edge of the forest. They were nearly naked, a phenomenon called paradoxical undressing, sometimes seen in hypothermia victims. But the strangest details weren't the bodies. It was the tree. Its bark was stripped as if someone had climbed it desperately, maybe trying to spot something or escape something. Next, searchers found Igor Dyatlov himself, then Zina Kolmogorova, then Rustam Slobodin. Their injuries suggested that they had collapsed one by one while trying to crawl back toward the tent. But the real mystery lay in the ravine. 4 more hikers were discovered in a small ravine covered in deep snow. These bodies told a very different story. One had a crushed chest, comparable to a car accident. Another had a skull fracture too severe to be caused by a fall. 2 women were missing eyes. One was missing her tongue. And according to forensic examiners, the force required to produce their injuries would have been, quote, greater than that of a human attack. But here's the part almost no one talks about. There were no external wounds, no bruising, no cuts. The organs were damaged internally, but the skin was nearly untouched. It was like they had been crushed by a pressure wave or extreme force without being hit. Even stranger, their clothing contained traces of radiation. This was no ordinary mountaineering accident. Dozens of explanations have been proposed over the years, from the mundane to the bizarre. But let's stick to the theories that actually make sense. 1. Katabatic wind, the mountain wind panic theory. A sudden, violent, downward blast of wind could have made the tent shake violently, collapse, or sound like an approaching avalanche. But here's the issue. No sign of avalanche debris. And these hikers were trained. They wouldn't run into the dark without boots unless something truly catastrophic was happening. 2. Military weapons testing. This is one of the most persistent theories. The area was known for secret Soviet parachute mine tests, explosives dropped from the air that detonate above ground, creating shock waves strong enough to crush internal organs without leaving external injuries. That matches the ravine victims perfectly. Bright orbs of light in the sky were reported on the same nights by people in nearby towns. Even some hikers' clothing showed radiation, consistent with Soviet materials of the time. If the group heard explosions or saw flares, they may have cut their way out in panic. But there's a problem. Why no blast craters? Why no debris? 3. Infrasound, the fear frequency theory. This theory suggests that wind passing over the mountain could create low-frequency sound waves that trigger panic and disorientation. It could explain the frantic exit, but it does not explain the crushed ribs and fractured skulls. 4. The Yeti theory. Let's just say, Russia loves this one. Even the official case files reference a Yeti-like creature in a photo, although this was almost certainly a joke by the hikers. Still, the idea persists. But again, no tracks, no signs of struggle. 5. A chain reaction of natural events. Some experts now think the incident wasn't caused by one single event, but several. A violent wind gust, tent collapsing, panic, disorientation, falls into the ravine, hypothermia, confusion. This could explain some injuries, but it does not explain the internal trauma consistent with a shockwave, nor the radiation. This brings us back to the 10th hiker, Yuri Yudin, the lone survivor, purely because he turned back early. For the rest of his life, he attended memorials, revisited the site, and even consulted with investigators. But he never found peace. His final interviews are haunting. He said, "I will never understand what happened that night, but I know my friends did not die of cold alone." Yuri died in 2013, still searching for an answer. And today, all these decades later, we're still searching too. Because the Dyatlov Pass mystery is more than a cold case. It's a reminder that nature, secrets, and human fear can collide in ways that we still struggle to explain.
If you found this story as chilling and fascinating as I did, make sure you hit subscribe. It helps us bring you more real mysteries every week. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think drove the hikers out of their tent? A natural disaster? A Soviet cover-up? Something else entirely? Drop your theory in the comments. We read every single one. This is the Exhibit Files. Thanks for watching, and stay curious. See you in the next one.